I can never tell if the music's too loud or not. It's really hard because the only thing I have to go off of is the fucking OBS audio mixer. It's like all I have to function with is the OBS audio mixer, and I have so many options on how to adjust the sound. I can never tell. What up, chat? Got a big idea for today. Nothing important going on in that Discord. Oh. Oh. Un momento. Okay. I think I know what I have to do. Let me write a note to myself real quick. Alrighty. Ugh. Where did my thing go? There it is. Okay. Good to go. So today, what I'm going to be doing today, I kid you not, I have a list of what is quite literally every single Pokemon. Every single one of them. There's some repeats, like you can see. I lost it. I'm not scrolling back up. But like each cast form is on here. So like yeah, so like each of the cast forms are on there. Each of the Burmies are on there. Each of the Wormadams are on there. So I'm going to be skipping all the dupes, like every Rotom. But every single Pokemon is on this list. Even down to... Why are there 4? What? Am I about to learn something about Pokemon? Oh. Different sizes. Okay. Well, those are all the same Pokemon, so... There's like different Zygardes, like all the Zygardes around there. Like Zygarde 10%, Zygarde. There's like a Zygarde 100% on this list somewhere. It's 3 different Tauros. This is Paldean Wooper. But even down to the new Pokemon from the most recent Scarlet Violet DLC, they're all on here. Every single Pokemon is on here. What I'm going to do... is I'm going to skip like all the different Pumpkaboos. I'm going to skip. I'm just going to do one Pumpkaboo. All the regional forms. All the different regional forms. I'm going to skip. There's no point. I'm just going to rank them all as one Pokemon. Same with the Megas. So any form differences are going to all be ranked as one Pokemon. And I'm going to give them a numerical value between 0, which is bad, like Carnivine, and 100, which is goated. And the way I'm going to be ranking them is purely how they make me feel on the inside. How they affect my insides. That's how I am going to be ranking them. No more, no less. All of the 1,100 Pokemon that exist are on the list. If a Pokemon has a Mega, I will be including it in the ranking. I said that already. And it's purely a subjective list on which Pokemon I like and which Pokemon I don't like. And I have a section for notes as to why, in case I want to leave notes. But I probably won't end up leaving many. But that is besides the point. I'm just going to go in numerical order. My guess, like off rip, my guess is going to be that a lot of these Pokemon are just going to end up in like the middle section. Like, I don't think there are going to be a lot of Pokemon that I'm like, that I have super strong opinions on. I just don't see that happening. But without any further ado, I guess it's time to just start. Bulbasaur. And I think, too, the other thing is that this is clearly going to adjust, right? Like, I think this will clearly adjust as I go through. Like, I'm trying to find a complete Pokedex. I mean, I think that goes kind of without saying, too. Is there like a... Like, I just want like a complete Pokedex. There we go. Well, that was easy. Oh, come on, Pokemon, really? Oh, is it going to just keep going now? Okay, awesome. So I'll keep this up. Actually, no, I don't like that list. List of all Pokemon by National Dex number. There we go. And I can just boot into Bulbasaur and keep clicking here. Awesome. Can't believe there's 1,017 Pokemon. That's so crazy. Alright, so number 1, Bulbasaur. How does Bulbasaur make me feel on the inside? I think I like the concept of Bulbasaur, like the like seed reptile dinosaur thing. Can I figure out references? No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted... It's originally based on a frog? What? What? I do like, and this is something that I've grown to appreciate with Pokemon, and as we get like deeper in the Pokedex, you'll realize why. The fact that this is so clean, just in terms of how the evolution like goes, like how conceptually it's all very like homogenous. There's definitely something to be said about that. Overall, I'm not that impressed with Bulbasaur. I think I'm literally just going to throw Bulbasaur in the middle. Maybe a little higher. Maybe throw Bulbasaur at like 55. Ivysaur. There's not much change in the body between Bulbasaur to Ivysaur. The plant is clearly growing. I think we're going to knock Bulbasaur down to like, or Ivysaur down to like 40. And I'm not going to lie, I think Venusaur is like a 30. I think Venusaur is like a 30 out of 100. Because clearly they're going for plant, and then they kind of just give up and go tree. Which I'm not a fan of. Otherwise, it's all pretty like it all kind of flows with each other. But I'm also just not that impressed with like the lack of like body style change. Like it's all kind of the same shape throughout. And then I think also like some of Venusaur's sprites are really weird. Like he's just crushed. He's just crushed by the plant. And that's weird to me. I don't like that. But I think overall, maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe we'll go 35. Charmander. Let's see. Ew. I don't like it. The head's too big. The head seems like disproportional. Like looking at it objectively, in my mind, like getting rid of the fact that like it's a Generation 1 Pokemon, whatever. The head seems too big. I don't like it. I'll put it 45. Just a little higher than Venusaur, but lower than... Or a little higher than Ivysaur, but lower than Bulbasaur. Charmeleon? Here's the thing, is you can almost see what they were trying to do with the horn. But the horn is so clearly ears on Charizard. So, like, does Charmeleon only have one ear? I think... it's a pretty decent middle stage. I think a lot of Pokemon struggle with like middle stage evolutions. A lot of Pokemon struggle with that middle stage on the 3-stage evolutions. Charmeleon is kind of one of them, where they don't want it to be still super cutesy like Charmander is. They add like more lines, obviously. But the horn is weird. And also, it makes the wings come out of nowhere, which is weird. So I think Charmeleon gets a 30. And then I think Charizard is a pretty basic dragon. But Charizard X is just so cool. Like, I think Charizard is pretty basic. Charizard Y is basic with more exaggerated lines. Something about Charizard X I just like, though. I just like Charizard X. So I think we're going to take Charizard up to like 60. Young Squirts. I like Squirtle. I think I like Squirtle. I don't know. It just seems so right. Like, something about Squirtle just seems better than the other starters. So I think we're going to put Squirtle at like But like, how much better than Bulbasaur is it? Because right now Bulbasaur is my highest, barring Charizard, because Charizard X just carries the whole situation over there. Like, I think without Charizard X, I think Charizard just shoots down. But Squirtle, I think like 57. Wartortle, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. Wartortle's weird. Wartortle's really weird to me. I'm not a fan of anything. Because, like, not only is none of what they do to Wartortle have anything to do with Squirtle, right? Like, these have nothing to do with Squirtle. This has nothing to do with Squirtle. These things also don't transfer over to Blastoise. Like, at all. Right? So I think I honestly put Wartortle lower than Venusaur. Blastoise, he's alright. I think Mega Blastoise, I don't like Mega Blastoise, and I don't like Gigantamax Blastoise. So I think he goes 40. Caterpie. It's a caterpillar, and I think it's a good caterpillar. I don't know. I think probably 50. I'm gonna be honest. Metapod. I don't know. I don't really like Metapod. I don't really like Metapod that much. I think Metapod's like probably the same as Venusaur. Butterfree. I like Butterfree's color palette. Something about Butterfree's color palette I really like. That's all I have to say about Butterfree. So we'll put Butterfree. Not better than Bulbasaur. Maybe better than Ivysaur. So looking between like 40 and 55. Charmander. Yeah, probably better than Charmander, but like barely. Weedle, I don't get Weedle. I feel like Weedle has too many legs. Like, what is Weedle based on? Origin. A wasp larva? Yeah. Stinging caterpillars? Yeah, no. Not a huge fan of Weedle. Not a big fan of Weedle. The eyes aren't bug enough for a bug Pokemon. I'm just gonna go 35. Kakuna. This middle section of Kakuna always looks like a tie to me, which doesn't make sense. Because Beedrill's like so not a businessman that doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'll just put it right along with Weedle. And then Beedrill, I kind of like Beedrill. I won't lie. I think Beedrill has really grown on me, especially with playing Fire Red so much. I think Beedrill has grown on me. Just something about it. It's always just reliable in the early game and everything. But how much do I like Beedrill? How much do I like Beedrill? Probably like 30%. No. Probably like 40. Pidgey. I mean, it's literally just a bird. It's just a mean bird. Like, I really think Pidgey is just a mean bird. But I think what I want to... Okay, real quick, what I want to do. I want to lower all these a little bit, because I think some of these seem a little too middle of the road. So Venusaur down to 25. I think Weedle and Kakuna down to 25. Bulbasaur 55 is fine. Ivysaur like 30, I would think. I like where those are at. Squirtle 57, Wartortle, Blastoise, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think Pidgey's kind of middle of the road. Pidgeotto, on the other hand, I think Pidgeotto flows into Pidgeot really well. I like the idea that the yellow feathers are like immature, like feathers that haven't matured yet. So by the time that you get to Pidgeot, they're matured on the tail. I don't know. I like it. I think probably like 52, and then Pidgeot's probably like a 55. They're all pretty mid tier. Rattata and Alolan Rattata. I think they're fairly reliable Pokemon. They don't seem too mousy to me. I don't know why. Like, if the concept was just mouse, I don't really see it. Just looks weird. Oh, shit. I'm not ending stream. Fuck. Where was I? I was at Rattata. So, yeah, I don't know. I think probably 35. That feels right. Rattata, Alolan Rattata. I think it'd be smarter to call this the rat Pokemon. Me personally, I would have called it the rat Pokemon. I don't know. It's just a bipedal mouse. I think it's also a 35. Spearo's just another version of Pidgey to me. It's just another fucking bird. Yeah, I don't really know. Probably just another, like, 50. I won't lie. Fearow. I kind of like Fearow, but the neck, like, the long neck seems weird to me. I'm not really a fan of, like, the long neck. It seems more like a turkey, which I don't know if that's what they're going for. So probably like 47. Ekans and Arbok, I'm gonna be honest, like 20 each. They're so not creative. They just spelled words backwards and made it their name. Like, that's boring. I think Ekans and Arbok are super boring. Pikachu, I'm gonna be honest, it's just a yellow mouse. It's just a yellow mouse. I really like Alolan Raichu, so I think similar to Charizard X carrying Charizard, I think Alolan Raichu kind of carries Raichu. I think Raichu's pretty overall forgettable. I think it's going to carry it, but not much higher than what Pikachu's at. Next up is Sandshrew. I don't know, man. Something about him and Sandslash. I just like it. God damn. You start looking at the Alolan versions too. I just like them. Something about him. 63s. Alright, the Nidoran lines. These are pretty much identical, the only difference being their final evolution. Being Nidoqueen and Nidoking. I don't like the fact that for Nidoqueen, they like gave her very like what is very obviously supposed to be boobs. Like for Nidoqueen, that's so clearly supposed to be boobs, and that makes me uncomfortable. 30. I think both Nidorans get like a 25. And then I think Nidorino and Nidorina get 30s. I think the second stage, if they picked up the ground type, I would like them a lot more. Nidorino overall looks weird. Nidorino actually is a 25. And then Nidoking is a 30. Don't like him. Clefairy's cute. 45. Clefable is just a bigger Clefairy that I don't like, so we're going to go 30. Vulpix. I don't know. Vulpix is definitely just a cute Pokemon. Ninetales is always good. Ninetales is a good, like, fast fire type. I think Vulpix is pretty mid. I do like the idea, though, that it's got, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's got 6 here and then 9 here. Like, 3 here to make the 9. And then Ninetales just has 9 tails. And I also like Alolan Ninetales, because this to me almost looks kind of like a veil in a way, like a fog veil, which is pretty cool. So I think we'll go 60. Jigglypuff, Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff, like these Pokemon don't seem connected to me. Like they really just took Jigglypuff and went. So I guess maybe they are connected, but in a very uninspired way. Zubat. You know, it took me forever to realize that Zubat didn't have eyes. But I think Zubat's like classic Gen 1, where it's like almost what it's supposed to be, but like it's not at the same time. Like it's slightly different enough. But I'll do like 58. Golbat. I don't like it. It's like just big mouth. It's just like big mouth. It's weird. Also, it gets eyes out of nowhere and its ears get smaller. It's just weird. I think Oddish is just plant. And I think other Pokemon later in the Pokedex do plant better. I think Gloom is a really good example of making like a gross Pokemon, but not making it unappealing. There definitely are some like gross Pokemon that are just unappealing to look at. But I think I'm also gonna dock Oddish more. Because this is clearly supposed to be a Radish, and then they so clearly give up on that with Gloom and Vileplume. I think if Oddish looked more like a seedling, and then Gloom was like a dying plant, like if this went down and then Vileplume was like a big, beautiful flower. I think that's better, like, conceptually. But they didn't do that. At all. But I still do like the idea that Gloom is a dying plant. And then it gets, like, new life and becomes Vileplume. I like that idea. So I think Gloom's going to go, like, 65. And I think Vileplume will go right there with it. Paris. I don't know. I don't know. I think, what is Paris supposed to be? A crab? A cicada? Is Paris supposed to be a cicada? It must be. I don't like it as a cicada, though. You could probably convince me that it was more, like, I don't know, any other bug. Paris, like a 40. Parasect, I really like. Like, just on like a design level. Actually, I think we're gonna bump these guys up. I think we're gonna bump these guys up to like 70. Because I really like the idea that the mushroom grows and like even like Paris's eyes like cloud over. And then the mushroom's in control now. I really like that concept. Venonat's just a bug. 30. Venomoth is just a moth. 30. I think Diglett and Dugtrio are conceptually pretty boring Pokemon. And their Alolan forms don't help because they're just the same Pokemon, but with hair. Like, I think the concepts are really boring, but Diglett and Dugtrio specifically is just a fun Pokemon to have on your team always. So we're going to go 28. And then maybe 68. Meowth is starting to hit a similar point of Pikachu where it just has so many forms. And why that is, I don't know. I also don't understand the amulet. Like, what's the point of the amulet? Let me find Dex entries. Like, it just keeps saying that it loves shiny coins. But that doesn't explain why there's one attached to its head. And also, I guess it's a gem on Persian's head. Alolan Persian just looks like it's having an allergic reaction to something. And its face is puffing out. Overall, I think Meowth is like 50, just middle of the road. Persian think it's like a 55. Not much better. Psyduck. These Pokemon are not psychic types, and that annoys me. So we're going to do 36 and 36. I like Mankey because it's supposed to be like a pig monkey, right? And I think it does that really well. Like, I think it's like when you look at it at first, you're like, it's a monkey, but it's weird because it's got like pig-like features to it. And I don't know, something about it just almost makes sense to me. Like, it's a weird design, but I like it. 58. Primeape. I don't understand why Primeape loses its tail. Personally. And it doesn't say anything about why it loses its tail. It's almost like a Dragon Ball thing. But yeah, it's almost like a weird Dragon Ball thing. It just loses its tail. Otherwise, it's pretty similar to Mankey. 54. Growlithe's just a cute puppy. Growlithe is just a cute puppy. Arcanine is just sharp dog. But I do like Hisuian Arcanine. Hisuian Arcanine's pretty cool because Hisuian Arcanine I think is a little more inspired than regular Arcanine. Because it looks almost like smoke and it's not just sharp dog like Growlithe is, or Arcanine is. So I think we go 60. I think the Poliwag line is a really interesting concept for like, it's like tadpole that doesn't turn into a frog concept, which I think is really interesting. I think Poliwhirl and Poliwrath are a little too similar. Like, you probably could have gone right from Poliwag to Poliwrath and been fine. Like, what? I don't understand what Poliwhirl is adding to this equation other than just being a middle evolution. Like, I don't get it. So, I think Poliwhirl's going to be pretty low for me. Like, 10. I kind of like Poliwrath. So, Poliwrath will put, like, 78. And then Poliwag will put it, like, 68. And then I'm actually just going to look right now for Politoed. Politoed, I kid you not, is, like, a 15. I think Politoed's stupid. Because Politoed literally takes the concept of what if a tadpole didn't grow up and then throws it out the fucking window because it's a goddamn frog. It's like Pokemon had this super interesting concept in Generation 1, which I think we can all agree is very, very rare for Generation 1. A lot of Generation 1, I know I've been ranking them mid because they're all very mid, but they're all just an animal slightly changed, right? Most of them are. Poliwag line is this really interesting concept where it's like, what if we took a tadpole and didn't turn it into a frog? What would happen to the tadpole? And then they fucking made Politoed, and they're like, yeah, but what if that tadpole actually did become a frog? And it's like, that's not the point of it. That's not the point. That's why there's Seismitoad. Like, Timepole, Palpitoad, Seismitoad. And see, if Seismitoad didn't have fucking boobs on its forehead, this would be really cool. Because it's a really good, like, frog evolution line. But instead, they just threw it out the fucking window with Poliwrath. Anyways. I really like the look of Abra. Something about the shoulder pads throw me off. I think the shoulder pads on Abra have always thrown me off. Otherwise, I just think like this is a good baseline for Psychic Pokemon. I'll put it a little under Poliwrath. Going into Kadabra, I guess that's a shirt, but it's still very shoulder paddy. I don't understand why it has to be shoulder pads. I don't get that. I don't get why it has to be shoulder pads. But I like the slightly fluffier tail. I like adding a star to the forehead. I don't know why. It just feels right. It's like a little more confident in itself now. Right? It's not always just fleeing away. I like Kadabra. And then Alakazam kind of just seems like bigger Kadabra. And I think I think I would have preferred something different. I think if Mega Alakazam was base Alakazam, I would rate Alakazam higher. Because it's not... Like, Alakazam just feels like bigger Kadabra. It doesn't really feel like it's adding anything. They just kind of drop the tail, make it bigger. And I don't like that. I don't like that. Machop, Machoke, Machamp. I'm not a fan of Machamp just getting 2 more arms. Like, I don't get it. Like, they clearly, I think, like, this is very clearly, like baby, like, middle stage or adult. And I feel like they could have done something different going into Machamp that they just didn't do. They just didn't do it, but I feel like there's something better to do. Because I think at the end of the day, I think Machop and Machoke are kind of like mid to like low high, and then Machamp just kind of tanks it back down to 40. I think Machamp just gets 2 more arms for no reason. Which is weird. Bellsprout, Weepin' Bell, Victory Bell. I think this... See, this was what I was talking about with the Oddish line. When I said there's plant Pokemon down the line that do just being a plant Pokemon better. Bellsprout makes sense to me. Because it's all, like, it all flows. It's all kind of homogenous. Right? Because you have, like, the small plant, and then it gets a little bigger, and then it becomes, like, a fully matured flycatcher, I guess. Which is not what that looks like. I don't like the big round mouth, though. So I think I'm going to put, like, 43 of 44. And then I feel like Victory Bell probably could have benefited from having some sort of special ability that plays into the Flycatcher. Because otherwise, it's a very mid Pokemon. Like, it's a pretty mid Pokemon. And I feel like they could have given it... I feel like they could have given it something... like something stat-wise, something move-wise, to make it feel a little more like a Flycatcher. Tentacool and Tentacruel. I don't know. They're all right. I mean, I don't think they're as good as like the Victory Bell line though. Geodude, Graveler, Golem. Graveler kind of sticks out to me a little bit. Like initially, I think Graveler's kind of a sore thumb. The Alolan form is weird. It's like why is there a huge magnet on Golem's back? I don't know. I think they're probably like 20s across the board. Ponyta and Rapidash. I think they're very misleading. I feel like Ponyta and Rapidash always make you feel like they're going to be good, but they rarely are useful. And they seem like two horses independent of each other. Because Rapidash, they very clearly wanted Unicorn. Ponyta, they very clearly didn't. Like, there isn't much connecting them. Other than the fact that they've, like, one's evolved into the other for the past 25 years. 40, 43. I think Slowpoke, Slowbro, I kind of like the concept. I kind of like the concept of it. One thing I've never liked about Slowbro is that that's supposed to be a Cloyster, and it just doesn't look like a Cloyster. Like, I feel like they came up with the lore of, like, Cloyster biting Slowbro's shell, like, too late. I feel like they drew this, and then down the line, they were like, or not Cloyster, Shelder rather. I feel like they designed Slowbro, and then when they were making the dex entries, because they got later in it, they're like, oh, what if we made that like a Shelder? It doesn't look like a Shelder to me. And I feel like, considering that's how it evolves, you're never given that opportunity. Like with like Mantike and Remoraid. Like, your Mantike to evolve into Mantine needs a Remoraid in the party. And I feel like you could do something very similar to that. Am I also ranking the alternate forms? I'm considering them. Like, in the event that it makes a difference, I am considering them. I do kind of like Galarian Slowbro for some weird reason. Like the idea to me that the Shelder misses the tail and goes for the hand, and then the Slowbro just starts, like, in my head, just starts fucking hitting people with it is very funny to me. Other than that, I think Slowpoke's pretty mid. I'm not gonna lie. I think Slowpoke's pretty mid. I think Slowbro's lower. Here's the thing. I think if they made the tail look more like a Shelder, or if they just didn't call that a Shelder, then I'd be able to confidently rank Slowbro higher. But they didn't, and I think it kind of fucks up all of Slowbro for me. Like, I can't, and this is not a bit. This is not a joke. I cannot look at a Slowbro without going, that's not a fucking Shelder. Like, that's not a Shelder. Objectively, that's not what Shelder looks like. And it boggles my mind that they did that. Magnemite is just magnet, and then Magneton is just magnets put together. That's it. I mean, it's literally just magnet and then more magnet. That's it. That's all those are. Just magnet and then more magnet. Farfetch'd. I don't know. I think Farfetch'd is a cool idea. Like a duck using like the leak as like a weapon. I think it's like a cool idea. I don't know how well they executed on it though, is the thing. I think Surfetch'd is a lot better execution than Farfetch'd. But I still like it conceptually, even though the execution wasn't entirely there. So I'll do 63. I like Doduo Dodrio. Like design-wise. Because yeah, joy, sorrow, and anger. I like that. I like that each of them are like a different emotion. And I think Doduo is pretty similar, right? Okay, it's not. But I don't know. I think that like the design concept I really like. I think Dodrio is a little more fun than Doduo. I think Doduo, I'll probably put it like 48, and then Dodrio. Dodrio, I think, is a little higher for me. I think Dodrio is like 66. Dude, Seal's stupid. Seal's just stupid. Dugong's a little better, I think. Like, Seal is too fucking on the nose, dude. Dugong, I don't know. I don't know why it's an ice type. Maybe because it's a seal. It's in the Arctic. I could see that. But, I mean, it's not much better. It's pretty uninspired. It's just kind of like, to me, it's just like seal and then like bigger seal. Alright, I'll be right back. I gotta pee. Pee break. Ugh. This is gonna seem crazy. My headphones aren't working. All right, fuck it. We're going commando in this bitch. Oh shit. This t-shirt got really warm because I had it fucking sitting on my had it sitting on my fucking the top of my computer. I'm like not centered. Okay, hang on. Mic check 1 2, mic check 1 2. Okay, we're good. We good. All right. So this is going to seem crazy, but Grimer I kind of like I like the idea of like sludge coming to life. In this mystical world where like everything has a life, they included the sludge. I think that's pretty cool, but it's also kind of mid. Muck backwards is cum. That's all I have to say. Shelder, I think Shelder into Cloister, like I like it. I like Shelder into Cloister. I don't fully understand why Shelder's tongue is sticking out. And I don't think they ever really elaborate on that. It just says it uses its tongue to like burrow a hole in the seafloor. But I don't really understand like why that has to be hanging out. So overall, I think Shelder's pretty mid. Cloister, I don't understand why Cloister is an ice type. And also, it's also kind of just like a vagina. So we're just gonna go 30. I think Ghastly. See, they keep explaining that Ghastly is just a thing made of gas. But it's also like not. Right? Like even into Scarlet and Violet, it talks about being made of gas, but it's like so clearly supposed to be like the ghost Pokemon. But I also really like Ghastly as a ghost Pokemon. But if it's supposed to be a gas Pokemon, then I think they kind of missed the mark. So I think we'll put Ghastly at like 50. Haunter, I think, leans more design. Holy fuck, that song's loud. I think Haunter leans more into the ghost than it does into the gas. So I think I have to rank it like 40. Gengar's objectively cool. And the Mega's even cooler, so. Onix is weird. Onix is weird because it just seems really light. Doesn't it? Like, okay, 460 pounds is a lot, but for 28 feet of just rock, I feel like it should be higher. I feel like it should weigh more than just 400 pounds. And also, its attack stat is like abysmal. So I think I'll put Onyx like 48. Drowsy and Hypno make me uncomfortable in ways that I cannot explain. And also, like, Drowsy, I think, is, like, clearly an elephant-like Pokemon. And then Hypno loses all of that. So I think it's kind of like a Ponyta Rapidash situation. Where I feel like they had Hypno, and then they wanted to make Drowsy a pre-evolution just to, like, fill out the Pokedex, I think. Is kind of how it reads to me. I think Drowsy's... I think Drowsy's like 35, I won't lie. And I think Hypno's just like mid. Like 64. That seems really high for how I've been ranking these Pokemon. 53. I kind of like Krabby and Kingler. I think Krabby and Kingler, like, I think it's gonna seem crazy. This is gonna seem crazy. This might be a hot take. But, like, I kid you not. Just because I think Krabby and Kingler are 76 because Krabby and Kingler are really good examples of Pokemon that are just okay to be plain, to be normal. I think Krabby and Kingler, and then while I'm actually thinking about them, Finneon and Lumineon, like, legitimately, I think they're Pokemon that are generally forgettable because they're supposed to be. Like, I think Krabby, Kingler, Finneon, Lumineon are, in a way, almost, like, designed to be forgettable. Because think about it, you don't remember every individual species of animal you see in the real world. So I think they kind of help, like, both liven up the Pokemon world, but also ground it better. Because it's like there's nothing crazy about them. They're just animals, right? Like Krabby, Kingler, Finneon, Lumineon are all just animals. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a really important part of any, like, fictional world. I think, like, an important part of any fictional world is having shit that's just normal. Like, I think that's a thing people struggle with sometimes, and people struggle to, like, understand sometimes, is in fictional worlds, it's okay to have things that are just fucking normal. And I think Krabby and Kingler are good first examples of that. I think Voltorb's really cool. And I think Voltorb's really cool for the same reason, like, Hisuian Voltorb makes it even better. I think it's just a good mimic, right? Like, mimics are in every RPG. And, like, Voltorb's just makes sense. Because, like in Elden Ring, there's a mimic. Is there? No. Fuck. Mimic RPGs. Like, right. Like, you see, like, RPG mimics are always a loot chest that is secretly an enemy, and when you go to open it, it attacks you. And Pokemon could have just made a chest, but instead, you, like, in the overworld, you get items out of Pokeballs, and Voltorb is a Pokeball. And I think here's the thing. I think Electrode or Voltorb is an 85. I think Amoonguss and Fungus are both, or I think Fungus is like an 85. For that reason, because I think they're really good mimics. Now, what is the... And I think Hisuian Voltorb makes that better because Hisuian Voltorb looks like an old Pokeball, right? Like Hisuian Voltorb looks like how the Pokeballs kind of look in that game. Brute Bonnet. Yeah. And it's for that reason I think Brute Bonnet is like literally 32. Like literally, yeah, like 32. Because they didn't take the extra step. Like they said, okay, this is old Amoonguss, but it looks like a modern Pokeball still. When they very clearly executed on the old Pokeball mimic already, and they could have just done that again with Brute Bonnet, but instead they did this with it, and I'm not a fan of that. Now that being said, I think Electrode is stupid. I feel like Electrode, they felt it necessary to make... I feel like Electrode, like Voltorb did not have to evolve, and if it did not have to just be upside down. And like that's, to me, that's not a good evolution. Right? Like I've already talked about it. Like Dugong is just Seal but bigger. And like that's stupid. Right? Like Electrode is just Voltorb but upside down. Like why? They could have done something a lot more creative with it. Make it a Great Ball. Make it an Ultra Ball. Just off the top of my head. But instead they flipped it just fucking upside down and made it bigger. And like that's dumb to me. Execute. I don't know. I think Execute's alright. Exeggutor, though. I like Exeggutor for a very similar reason that I like Execute. Or not Execute. Dodrio. It's just 3 Pokemon put together. Each of the 3 heads has like their own personality. And I think that's really cool. I do think all of these Pokemon that are just multiple Pokemon put together could... My back just got like really itchy, and I don't know why. I think all of these Pokemon could really benefit, like in terms of taking their concept and applying it into the game. I think they could all really benefit from like a move or like an ability that relates to the fact that they're like multiples in one group. But I do still really like Exeggutor and Alolan Exeggutor. Cubone is famously my favorite Pokemon. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to move on. Marowak. I really like Alolan Marowak. I think regular Marowak probably would have... Like, I think Marowak would have benefited if maybe they dropped the skull on the head. Skull on the head has always seemed weird to me. Or if they made it... Like, these are the two paths that I would have liked to see Marowak take from Cubone. The skull's already fractured. Choice 1, drop the skull altogether. And just make the skull of Marowak look more like Cubone's skull that it wears on its head. Because then I think you get into this idea that like keep the bone like bow staff. I think that's really cool. Um, it would have been cool to see Marowak maybe drop the skull as like a way of like growing up. But and then you can actually like see the skull and how it would look fleshed out. Option 2 would be to like crack and fracture the original skull more. Like it's still on its head. It's the same skull shape, but maybe there's like holes in it. Because now the Marowak's bigger, but the skull is the same. But me personally, I like the first idea more. Just take the whole skull helmet off. And it's like, hey, I still have the bone, but like I've grown up. Like I don't have to wear the skull to remember my dead mother anymore. So I think it's going to be like 75. Honestly, lower, like 60. I don't like Hitmonchan's face. Personally. Hitmonlee is also weird to me. I don't like Hitmonlee's body shape. I think they kind of struck out on those. Lickitung, the concept was very clearly just long tongue, and I don't like that. I don't see how coughing and wheezing. Okay, approaching this with the mindset that Ghastly's also just a bunch of gas put together, I don't see how coughing and wheezing are any different. They just seem like worse versions. Just saying. Galarian wheezing, I think, is pretty funny. I think Galarian wheezing is really funny. It's like industrialized. Like very clearly a businessman. I like the business and then the chimney. So I think coughing is pretty low. Wheezing, still low, mostly carried by Galarian wheezing. I think Rhyhorn's supposed to be like a rhino, right? Yeah, Indian rhinos. Yeah. It's a very loud design to me. Like Rhyhorn is an extremely loud design. I'm not a huge fan. But I think I like it more than like a Drowsy. Rhydon, I think they clean up the design a lot. I don't see why the back spikes would still be necessary. Like I think if they got rid of the back spikes, it'd be a lot better. Yeah, like I don't see why the spikes down the back are super necessary. I think if you got rid of the spikes down the back, it'd be a lot cleaner. And also, they're like, it's pretty weak considering it's supposed to be like an armored thing. So I think it could have benefited from like an ability that maybe gets rid of like some of its weaknesses. Like 45. Chansey's kind of weird to me. Like I don't like, is this hair? Is this supposed to be hair? The face seems weird. The whole situation here just seems like super weird. Tangela. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Tangela. I think Tangela's kind of mid. I think Kangaskhan's cool because Kangaskhan has a mega that almost acts like an evolution where like the kid like comes out of the pouch. It's a pretty good kangaroo Pokemon. It's there. It's simple. It's clean. I like Kangaskhan. I like Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan's pretty cool. I don't know. Horsey's just a seahorse. Seadra is just a sharp seahorse. So, I think it's like mid and then like lower than mid. Goldeen and Seeking, I don't know. I almost want to call them Pokemon that are like too plain. Like, I almost want to put these in like the same category as like as I did like Lumineon and Finneon. But they just look so weird. Like, Goldeen, maybe. Seeking, there's so much going on here. There's so much going on. And, like, it's weird. It's like Goldeen, there's almost not enough going on. This is where we find out, secretly, I actually hate all Pokemon. I don't know. Staryu's, I mean, they're both just starfish, right? There's nothing crazy. I don't see why Starmie would be a psychic type. That doesn't make sense. But, I mean, yeah, for the most part, they're both kind of just, like, mid. Mr. Mime, I don't want to talk about Mr. Mime. I'm just going to skip over Mr. Mime. I'm just skipping over Mr. Mime. The whole thing is just weird. I don't like it. Fucking Galarian Mr. Mime is even weirder. I don't like it. Scyther, I don't know. It's just like a bug with like... It's like a bug with sword hands, but it almost works. Jinx has no reason to be an ice type. I don't think Jinx has any real reason to be an ice type. Jinx never got an evolution. That's like really bad. I don't know. I think Jinx pretty firmly lands in the uncanny valley for me. Electabuzz. It's like sharp, but it almost works. I don't know. I think it's pretty mid. Probably. 48, I meant. Magmar has a bud on its forehead. So... Now, Pinsir is just a bug. Like, Pinsir is literally just a bug. And I think they made that a lot more clear with Mega Pinsir. I don't know. Pinsir's kind of mid. Tauros is just a bull with 3 tails.
You're going to love this. Trust me. What you're seeing now is my normal.
That's kind of all Tauros is just a 3-tailed bug. There's nothing crazy about Tauros. I think yeah, nothing crazy about him. Magikarp's design has always been just kind of weird to me. Gyarados is just a solid Pokemon. Lapras, to me, is almost trying to be too many things. Like, it's trying to be a plesiosaur, but it's like also kind of trying to be... It's like trying to be a plesiosaur, but it's like also kind of trying to be Nessie, but then it's like it also has a shell, and it's like it's got the weird like horn thing on its nose, and it's like it's doing too much. It's doing too much. Ditto's design, I think, makes a lot of sense for its concept. Right? Like, if you were to just look at Ditto, it's very boring. But I think it's boring on purpose. Because it's boring, but it's meant to just turn into other things. Like, it's meant to turn into other things, so it would make sense that it has a very boring, like, base model. While I'm on Eevee, I'm just going to bang out all the evolutions. Just going to open all these. I think Eevee is kind of like Ditto. Where it's boring almost because it has to be. Vaporeon I don't really like. I don't really like Vaporeon. Because Vaporeon is like... One, the stupid fucking copy pasta thing, okay? Two, it's like trying... Like, I think Eevee was almost an attempt at making like a dog that isn't Growlithe. And then Vaporeon is still trying to be a dog, but also like be a mermaid, and like the dog tail turns into like a fin, and there's these like spikes and this weird like collar thing. So it kind of like looks almost nothing like Eevee too. That's the other part. Like a lot of the other evolutions, I think like Flareon kind of keeps its like Eevee-ness to it. Jolteon is just Sharp Dog again, so still like it more than Vaporeon though. Flareon is, I think, design-wise, the best of the original three. Because I think Flareon looks the most like Eevee. Espeon turns Eevee into a cat. I don't know. Espeon's kind of mid. Espeon. I think Umbreon just looks cool, to be honest. For Leafeon, I get it. Like, I get why Leafeon looks the way it does. It's supposed to be like sprouting out. I think they couldn't decide if they wanted Leafeon to have actual leaves or if they wanted Leafeon to have like crunchy leaves. So I think they'd either have to smooth the tail out or just make the tail a different color, like a falling leaf. And there just almost isn't enough green. Does that make sense? Glaceon, they do a little better. I think they do a little better with Glaceon. I think they commit a little more. It's a little harder to represent ice. I get that. Like the hair is supposed to be like icicles growing. I think it's a little higher, but overall, like not much. I think Sylveon is a really good fairy type. Like, in my mind, if they were to introduce Sylveon and it looks the exact same, but they never introduced the fairy type, it wouldn't, they would have to make it a normal type evolution, and it wouldn't feel right as a normal type evolution. So I think they wanted to make a fairy type evolution. I think they did that really well. I really like the intertwining ribbons and everything. And Sylveon's a trans icon, so where did I put Eevee at? $76. Okay, I'll put Sylveon at 76. Just feels right. Okay, well, let me just go back to Eevee. I'll also move Flareon up to 76, I think. Porygon. I really like Porygon's design because it's supposed to be the virtual Pokemon. Right? Like, it's artificial, it's virtual, it's man-made. It's going to look less organic. I think they did that really well. I think they lose it a little bit on Porygon 2. And then I think Porygon Z. I think Porygon Z just didn't have to exist. I don't think Porygon Z needed another evolution. I don't think Porygon needed another evolution. I like Omanite and I like Omastar. I like the idea that all of these are hands and they're just growing still. I think for older, like, ancient Pokemon, the spikes make sense for some reason to me. Let me just get back to where I was. Okay. Omanite is, I'd say, probably like a 75. Omastar's probably right with that. Kabuto, I kind of like. I think Kabutops is significantly worse. I think Kabutops is just Scyther with a bigger head. Aerodactyl's weird, and the Mega makes it weirder. Honestly. Like, Aerodactyl just seems weird. It seems very disproportional. I think Snorlax's concept... I think Snorlax as a concept is generally kind of... not like lazy, but like kind of... it's just a thing that eats a lot and sleeps a lot. The Gigantamax doesn't make sense to me because, like, why the fuck did a tree grow on it? But comparatively, I think Munchlax is probably better than Snorlax. So I think Munchlax is almost like a perfect baby Pokemon. I think Articuno is the only ice Pokemon in Gen 1 that, like, makes sense as an ice Pokemon. I think they designed the ice Pokemon really well because the like, these, you know, look more like icicles, and then it looks like an ice type. I think a lot of ice types in Gen 1 have no reason to be an ice type. I think Zapdos, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of just, like, expressing electricity as sharp, like, lines. I don't like that. That seems almost lazy to me. Oh, shit. Moltres, I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough that says... I know it's crazy because it has a huge fucking flame coming out of it, but I don't think there's enough that says Firebird. This looks more like Rubber Chicken. Like, I think this is Mole Trace more than anything else. The Dragonair, Dragonite, Dratini line is weird for me because conceptually Dragonair and Dragonite seem so disconnected from each other. You know what I mean? Like, Dragonite seems so disconnected from Dragonair. And then Dratini and Dragonair seem so together. Like, it's almost like they made Dratini, thought of Dragonair, and then a different set of people thought of Dragonite. And they were like, we need a pre-evolution for this, and we need a final evolution for this. You know? Like, they seem that disconnected to me. But I also really like Dragonite because I think Dragonite is a good, like, first dragon. I think Dragonite's a better dragon than Charizard is. Straight up. Because I think it's really simple to make, like, a scary looking dragon. And I think that's kind of like the cool dragon. I think that's kind of what they did with Charizard. To make like a big plump friendly dragon is, I think, less common in the world, like in pop culture. So that just inherently makes it more interesting to me. So I think I'm going to rate these high, even though they're disconnected. Dude, Mega Mewtwo X is just so cool. I think Mega Mewtwo Y could have been like a Mega Mew, which would have been cooler. I've always liked Mega Mewtwo X. Mewtwo's design... not gonna lie, kind of mid. Mew's design... I kind of like Mew's design because, like, Mew in the lore is supposed to be, like, one of the oldest Pokemon. So then it's like... So, like, it would almost make sense that it's, like, simple in a way. And I'm finally done with Gen 1. Holy shit. God damn. I've done 150 out of... How many Pokemon did I say there were? 150 out of, like, 10, 17 or something like that. 15% of the way through. Let's see. Chikorita, Bayleaf, Meganium. I don't like it. I don't like it. I think Cyndaquil, Quilava, Typhlosion is... I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think Quilava is a really good middle evolution. Where, like, Cyndaquil just has, like, the back and tail. Typhlosion just has the flame around the neck. And Quilava is both. And I think that's really cool. I think that works really well. I think I'm going to rate all of these pretty highly. I think Totodile's just an alligator. So Totodile's kind of mid. Right? Croconaw turns into a caveman for some reason. I don't like that. For alligator, we're back to just alligator. So we're back to mid. I don't understand what Centret is supposed to be. Like a meerkat or like a ferret? Or a ferret? Like a meerkat? I'm not really sure. It's kind of... probably kind of mid. And it doesn't really connect to ferret that well. Ferret's kind of mid. Hoo-Hoo and Noctowl should definitely be dark types. Other than that, they're just kind of owls. You know? Lediba and Ledian. They're just mid as fuck. Like, genuinely, I think they're just mid as fuck. They're just bugs. Like, they're just a regional bug type. There's, like, nothing super special about them. I don't fully understand why there's a face on it. Like, I don't fully understand why there's a face on Spinarak. I don't really get it. I don't really get the knee pad looking things. Pretty low for me. Ariados. I don't know. I don't get this. It just looks weird to me. I think I'm just going to rank it at 20. I think Crobat is a pretty solid attempt at clutching up the Golbat line. I don't know. Something about Crobat I just kind of like. It's a little too bulbous for me in the center. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty good. Chinchou's got weird eyes. Like, Chinchou just has weird eyes to me. Other than that, it's mid. Lantern's design is mid as fuck. Okay. I'm going to make this quick. Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff. All three of these, bad. They're baby Pokemon, but they're just the Pokemon they evolve into shrunk down. Which I don't like. There's no point in that. Versus like Munchlax, which is like, what would a baby form of this realistically be? Bonsly is a good example of that. I think Bonsly is pretty good. I think Bonsly is a good baby for what is otherwise actually a pretty interesting Pokemon. Sudowoodo is actually conceptually pretty interesting. Togepi and Togetic. I don't fully understand. Like, I don't understand why Togepi's, like, sharp. Because I get the whole concept is, like, a partially hatched egg. But then the egg kind of, like, absorbs into the body. I think Togepi's concept and execution is pretty good. But then they didn't know how to evolve it. And then they kind of shit the bed with Togekiss. Like, I feel like they started with a really good concept. Like, what if an egg didn't fully hatch? And then they just kind of shit the bed after that. I think Xatu and Natu make sense. I like Xatu's design a lot. Not a big fan of Fake Eyes, though. I think Fake Eyes is pretty overdone in Pokemon at this point. No matter how much I like him, I won't stop him from being high mid. Ampharos looks absolutely nothing like a sheep, which is like super weird. Super lost the plot on that one Pokemon. Mareep is just a sheep, but I think it's... I don't know. I think it's similar to like Kingler Krabby. Like, it's just a sheep. But also it's an electric type, and that doesn't really fucking make sense for a sheep. So probably like 55. Flaffy would have made more sense to be quadrupedal. I think good like sheep or ram Pokemon that fits that description of like Pokemon that just fill out the world, make it feel more alive. Double and Wooloo. Pokemon you don't really want to catch because they're not good Pokemon for like battling, but they just exist, and I think that's really cool. I don't know. Blossom's kind of mid. I think it was an evolution that just didn't need to happen. Marill, Azumarill. Yeah. I mean, I like Azumarill as like a rabbit. It's like a water Easter bunny, and it's got like the painted egg. I think that's pretty cool. Marill, I'm not a big fan of. I think Hoppip, Skiploom, Jumpluff are oddish if Oddish's design concept made more sense. I think Apomm's pretty cool. Same thing like Sunkern, Sunflora. But they're just sunflowers. Yanma, I don't like Yanma. Wooper and Paldean Wooper. I don't understand what it's supposed to be. Like, that's the problem. I don't understand what Paldean Wooper is supposed to be. And, like, Quagsire just confuses me more. I think Murkrow as a mobster, like, crow is pretty cool. Like a mobster bird is the word. I think I like Slowking for a similar reason I like Galarian Slowbro, which is like we have this concept of one Pokemon biting another. What happens if it bites a different part of its body? Mischievous is weird to me. I think Unown leaves a lot to be desired. I think Unown is one of those Pokemon that definitely needs like a group thing. And I think yeah, I like for Wobbuffet, I like the idea that like I like the idea that this is not Wobbuffet and like this is Wobbuffet. Like this is almost like its heartbeat and this is like a punching bag. I think that's a really cool concept and there aren't many Pokemon like it. I'm not going to say none because there's probably another one. This to me seems like they just wanted to make a giraffe but needed to make it something special somehow. I don't like it. Pineco, Fortress. Not everything needs to be a Pokemon. Dunsparce is really confusing for me to look at. I think Gligar to me is kind of weird, but like also closer to like mid. Steelix. Steelix is like just Onix, but a steel type now. It's an evolution I don't feel like had to exist. For me, it doesn't 100% make sense for Snubbull and Gramble to be fairy types. I think maybe Dark Fighting would have made more sense. And I don't think like no, I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Quillfish is okay. Overquill is a little much for me. Overquill is a little much for me. I think Scizor I don't know. What did I rank Scyther at? Scyther I did 45. Probably the same. Shuckle's just mold. I learned this recently that Shuckle is just mold. And I think that's really funny. Because it's like a mold, like, turtle. Heracross is a better pincer. Gen 2 doesn't have a lot of bangers. Heracross is for sure a better pincer. But not by much. Sneasel's weird to me. I don't understand what Sneasel's supposed to be. I don't understand what Sneasel's supposed to be. It definitely, it seems like a filler Pokemon that isn't adding anything. Here's what I think. I think Teddy Ursa and Ursaring were mid. They were alright. They tried redoing it with Stuffle and Beware, and I think they did worse. And then Ursa Luna, I think is pretty unique, and I like that. Slugma and Magcargo are just like lava slugs, but for some reason I like it. I don't know why. Yeah, a boar, piglet, and a long-haired guinea pig, right? It's weird because the way they're drawn is... Like, when I look at Swinub, I almost think, like, if its eyes were open, it would be on top of its fur. Which is weird. It's also not really connected to, like, Pillow-Swine or Mamoswine. I think design-wise, Mamoswine's definitely the best of the three. And I think Pillow-Swine is like the worst of the three. But also, like for Mamoswine, like props for Nintendo for making an ancient Pokemon that isn't a rock type. Corsola. It's just mid. I think Remoraid is similar to Finneon and Lumineon. Octillery's pretty fucking cool because it's a tank octopus with its own special move. Like its name in Japan is Octatank. It's a pretty fucking cool guy. I learned today that this is Delibird's tail, and that makes me extremely uncomfortable to think about. Because then to me that means that the Delibird's shitting out the presents. I don't like that. I don't like thinking about if its bag is its tail. Like, how's that working? What is it throwing out? It's weird. I don't want to think about it anymore. Mantine exists. Mantine exists. I think Skarmory's 3D sprites aren't great. I think Skarmory definitely looks better on the ground, but also it's just a metal bird with metal wings. Like, come on. Come on. I think Houndour, I think they tried too hard to make a cool dog. Because they like tried like implementing like a skeleton in there to make like a like mean Halloween dog. I think they tried way too hard. Kind of fell flat on its face. I think Houndoom would have been better if it was Cerberus. Cerberus? If Houndoom was Cerberus, that's a lot better. I think this... Okay, maybe not this. This is trying too hard. But I think if Houndoom was closer to a Cerberus... then that's trying too hard. I think this is the best example of what I'm thinking about. I think if Houndoom was a Cerberus, it would work a lot better, but it isn't. So Kingdra's not much different. I think Kingdra's just another evolution that really didn't have to exist. Fanpee's just cute. I think we can agree Fanpee's just cute. Donphan's just mid. Stantler is a weird looking Pokemon to me. Stantler to me is a little too bulbous. Stantler's a little too bulbous, if you ask me. Smeargle is mid. Tyrogue as like a baby Pokemon, I kind of like. I kind of like Tyrogue through the lens of like a baby Pokemon. Hitmontop is proportioned weird, just like fucking Hitmonlee and Hitmonchan. They're proportioning these motherfuckers really fucking weird, and I don't like it. Stop doing that. Give them normal Pokemon proportion. Okay, Smoochum. Smoochum's a 15. Same reason the other baby Pokemon are a 15. It's just Jinx small. Elekid is a lot better. Elekid is like a different Pokemon because it's got like the plugs on its head and it just looks different. It's actually a good baby. Magby is just a smaller fucking Magmar. Miltank, again, one of those Pokemon that isn't super exciting to look at, but helps fill out the world. Blissey is an evolution that did not have to exist. Objectively looking at Raikou and Entei, I guess. Objectively looking at them, they have like too much going on for me. They have like too much going on. I think Suicune's a lot better. I think Larvitar and Pupitar are kind of mid. Tyranitar would have been really cool because you can kind of see remnants of like Pupitar right here, and I think that's really cool. But like, what the fuck is Mega Tyranitar? This is an abomination. This is literally an abomination. That, like, I don't like that. We're done. No, I don't like Mega Tyranitar. Lugia, like, has hands. And they're, like, really big. And that's kind of weird to me. Also, Lugia's typing never makes sense. Like, Psychic and Flying, but it's the diving Pokemon. It's weird. Ho-Oh would have made a lot more sense as a Psychic and Flying Pokemon, I think. It just looks more like a Psychic Pokemon. Like, it has nothing to do with fire. It really has nothing to do. It really has nothing to do with fire. It's just a fire type. Right, other than like kind of resembling a phoenix, it really doesn't relate to fire at all. I think this would work a lot better as a psychic type. I do like the colors though, but it's still just like, it's not that good. Celebi has an onion for a head, and like that's weird. Alright, Gen 2 down. I have to pee again. I'll be right back, chat. Alright. Trico looks lost between two worlds. Trico looks like they wanted a gecko, but they also wanted like a living plant. So far I've been pretty unimpressed with the starters. I think Grovyle has typical middle evolution syndrome. Sceptile's weird because of the plant, and then like Mega Sceptile did not take any attempt to fix that. I think Torchic works really well as a chicken, but there's nothing super impressive about it. Combuskin is weird. Blaziken's like weird. Like you definitely start losing the chicken around Combuskin, and then by the time you're at Blaziken, it like you don't have a chicken anymore at all. I'm just gonna do 60s across the board. Mudkip as an axolotl like works really well. Like this is pretty close to an axolotl. I would have just liked to see like an ability or some type of move. Like the fact that Mudkip is supposed to be an axolotl but doesn't learn recover is weird to me. But otherwise, I think it's the best starter design so far. You can tell what it's supposed to be. It's got a Pokemon twist to it, which is really good. Marshtomp has typical fucking middle evolution syndrome. I think Swampert's trying too hard. Mega Swampert's fucking weird. I think Mega Swampert's probably the worst so far. Poochyena just cute for real. I think Poochyena's cute. Midiena's mid. Midiena has like long hair. It's like a rock Pokemon. It's weird. I don't like Galarian Zigzagoon because it's just like, what if Zigzagoon was punk? Like I don't like. There's no like regional aspect to that. Zigzagoon doesn't really look a lot like a raccoon to me. Lanoon is like super weird. Lanoon is just like an oval. Like at least Zigzagoon had something going for it. It was like Zigzagoon they made super geometric and sharp, and then Lanoon they just drew an oval and added legs. Like they went two separate directions. I think Wurmple does pretty good as a worm Pokemon, but like how impressive is a worm Pokemon ever going to be? I think Silcoon, Cascoon are too similar. They're too similar to each other. Other than that, I'm like super unimpressed with Dustox and Beautyfly. I don't like the design of the Lotad line because the whole thing to me just kind of screams like racial stereotypes, and that makes me super uncomfortable. Nuzleaf has nipples. Shiftry as a dark type makes sense. I think Seedot's... Okay, here's the thing. I think Seedot's mid. I think Nuzleaf has nipples, which is weird. And then I think Shiftry is like... I don't know. Shiftry's this weird mix of like trying too hard, but also like good execution, but also like there's a lot going on with it. Because you've got like the long hair as the mask, the long Pinocchio nose. Its hands are leaves. Like, it's this weird, like, mix of all these things. Talo and Swellow is, like, pretty cool. Like, I like the idea that like Talo is this really like bold and brave bird, and he like doesn't lose that growing up. Like, I really like that. That's pretty cool. But other than that, they're just kind of a bird. Not much going on for it. Wingull and Pelipper are definitely some of those Pokemon that just fill out the world. Any Pokemon that just fills out the Pokemon world and isn't super intense immediately gets a high rating for me design wise. I think Kirlia is kind of a weird middle stage between like Ralts and like Gardevoir or Gallade. Ralts' design is weird, like the horns on the head, and it's like a cap, but it's also like the hair. And then I kind of like Gardevoir and Gallade. Like, okay, backing up, I think Gardevoir is a really satisfying conclusion to Kirlia's evolution. But I think what's keeping Kirlia low is Kirlia doesn't really fit with Gallade very well. But I do still really like Gallade. Like, because Gallade kind of like it's this really cool, like Gardevoir and Gallade are this cool like separation where like Ralts and Kirlia can like feel their trainer's emotions, and then depending on how the individual Pokemon But yeah, I really like the idea that like Ralts and Kirlia can detect people's emotions, and like Ralts is like afraid of it, Kirlia becomes a little more brave, and then depending on how like the individual Pokemon responds, you either become a Gardevoir who uses it to like see the future and embrace their trainer and help them, or Gallade, which helps like defend them. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I like it. I think Surskit and Masquerain are just Pokemon. I really like Shroomish Breloom. I can't explain why. I can't explain why I do. I think Shroomish is kind of average and Breloom is like above average. And then I really like Slackoth Vigoroth Slacking. Cuz it tells this story of like a lazy kid and then he tries really hard and then goes back to lazy. I like that. And then Nincada is, for its typing, super underwhelming. Ninjask is... I don't like Ninjask, and I can't explain why. And then I think Shedinja... I don't know. Shedinja's ability is so broken that it's, like, not fun. Like, Wonder Guard just isn't that fun. And I think there's a lot more interesting things you could do with, like, the idea that, like, a Pokemon evolves, but it's also like a molt, and then, like, the shed comes off, and then that shed becomes a Pokemon is a really cool concept. I think Shedinja did it decent. I don't really like the ability. So it's, like, a little higher, but not a lot. Whismur has a butthole, and that makes me uncomfortable. Loudred and Xploud are weird looking to me. Let's see. I'm not really the biggest fans of Makuhita and Hariyama. There's nothing wrong with them, but there's also like nothing great about them. Azurill is just small Meryl. I don't really like Nosepass. I think Skitty and Delcatty are like a regional normal type. There's no depth to this Pokemon. Something about Sableye I like. Something about Sableye I really like. And its Mega just makes it even cooler to me. It's weird that this is just a set of jaws and has nothing to do with Mawile's hair. I don't know. It's a Pokemon. I think Aggron's one of those Pokemon that when you first find out that it exists when you're young, you're like, yeah, this Pokemon looks cool, and you never reassess it. But then looking at it objectively, it's too much, and feels nothing like Laren and Aaron. This whole line is just so weird. It's just a weird line. Just overall, just a weird evolution line. I don't think there's a reason for Meditite to have a double fighting type. Um, and I don't really get this Pokemon. Like, this Pokemon, to me, seems like they wanted to make a fighting psychic type, and then they figured out the rest later. Electric and Manectric are just Fast Dog. And Fast Dog is kind of just like super overdone. Like Bolton. Plusle and Minun are the perfect example of bad Pikachu clones. I think Gen 3 is when they started making Pikachu clones, and they struggle to get one right. Volbeat and Elumise are definitely Pokemon. I really like Roselia's design because it's supposed to be a rose, and roses are like elegant, they're smooth, you know, there's supposed to be an element of beauty to them, and I think you see all of that really well in Roselia. I think they did really good. Gulpin is definitely a Pokemon. Swalot, I don't understand why they did the Black Diamonds thing. I don't really get that. Otherwise, it's a pretty logical next step from Gulpin. Like, it just feels right. But, I'm going to rank it pretty high, but just know I don't understand. Actually, that's way too fucking high. It's mid as fuck. I just don't understand the Black Diamonds. Carvana is like everything, like, because Carvana is supposed to be like a piranha, an obnoxious ass Pokemon, like an obnoxious fish that just wants to bite you. And that's what this looks like. I think they executed that on that really well. On the other hand, Sharpedo, they just took a shark, made it a torpedo, and then they gave it a mega and made it look like this. So for that reason, Sharpedo is dog shit. This just feels like a really lazy way to do a whale Pokemon. Numel and Camerupt. They seem disconnected. Like, if you looked at... To me, Numel looks more like a camel, and Camerupt looks more like a cow. But they're both supposed to be camels. There's definitely a better way to go about this. But, like, they're not bad. It's Torkoal. I mean, what do you want from me? I'm not a big fan of Spoink or Grumpig. I don't really like them that much. Just as Pokemon. They just seem like uninspired. Like, I don't know why. It's just weird to me. Seems like an unnecessary Pokemon. Spinda is alright. I don't get the design, but I don't get the design, but I don't hate the design. It's just a panda. Trapinch just looks like he's ready to bite. I'm not a huge fan of the eye, but he just looks like he's ready to bite people. Other than that, I mean, Vibrava and Flygon makes pretty good sense. Of an antlion? I always thought like Flygon species like a dragonfly, and it makes sense. Like stages of a dragonfly's life. I think that's pretty good for like Trapinch, the Brava. Yeah, but it's like also a desert Pokemon. I think they're kind of middle of the road. I think Cacnea is a really good cactus Pokemon. And then for some reason they wanted to make it evolve. And they kind of threw everything out the fucking window. Like Cacturne looks like a guy in a suit to me. I don't really get the idea of Swablu or Altaria for that matter. Like I don't get what it's supposed to be. Like I don't get what Altaria is supposed to be, and I don't get what Swablu is supposed to be. But I mean, other than that, it's pretty alright. Zangoose, to me, is very similar to Aggron, where it's like when you're a kid, you look at Zangoose and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And then you'd like never reassess it. But then when you're an adult and you're like, okay, let's like, and when you're an adult, you're like, okay, wait, maybe this isn't cool. And also like, to me, Seviper's got way too much going on. Lunatone and Solrock just seem like really weird. Kind of like uninspired Pokemon. Barboach and Whiscash are mid. Corphish, to me, seems like they tried redoing Krabby but messed up, and then Crawdaunt was their attempt at saving it, and I actually kind of like Crawdaunt. Just something about Crawdaunt's design looks right to me. Like as a crayfish, something about Crawdaunt as a crayfish looks like they did something different here that they didn't do with Corphish, and this looks more crayfish like to me. And I like that. Baltoy and Claydol, I mean, they're all right. Nothing super fancy about them. I think Laleep and Cradily are a very interesting way of doing fossils as plants, like plant fossil Pokemon. I think this is a really interesting way to do it because they they feel like this. They feel prehistoric. With like the crazy growths, and like they feel really untamed in their growth. And there's an aspect of that I really like. Because it's also a fossil that isn't just like dinosaur. And I think Anorith kind of benefits from that as well. Just there's like a little bit of uniqueness to it. Armaldo, you kind of lose me at Armaldo. I think Armaldo tried doing too much. But I think Anorith, like Anorith is a level of crazy that it really benefits from. But I think you lose me at Armaldo. I kind of get what they were going for, going Feebas into Melodic, where like Feebas is supposed to be like this ugly Pokemon, and then it like goes into Melodic, and it's this beautiful fish. I think they fell flat on their face with that, because Melodic just isn't. I don't like Melodic. Let me just remove these rows. Like, I think Melodic is not a beauty. Like, I see no beauty in Melodic. Just see a lot of fucking ugly between these two. Cast form, those are boobs. We rank low for boobs. Kecleon, I feel like Kecleon, I think they kind of fucked over with its ability. Like, Kecleon had a chance to be a really good chameleon Pokemon. But the ability Kecleon got, color change, definitely either A, should have been protein before Greninja got protein. Because Greninja gets protein and Meowscarada can get protein. So it's not like a signature ability anymore. Or B, if Kecleon were to keep color swap, it would need something closer to like a Terra Blast, where the type of the move changes based on the type of the Pokemon. But it doesn't get either of those things. Like, it doesn't get either of those things. Instead, all Kecleon gets is no stab moves, which is pretty upsetting. Shuppet is a penis. I think Banette is a good example of doing a Pokemon that is creepy, but not too creepy. I think it does a really good job at that. And at that, chat, I have a lot more Pokemon to fucking get through. Holy shit. But with that, I'm going to finish them off stream. Off stream, I'm going to finish ranking these Pokemon, and I'm going to make a video about it. I just wanted to get it started on stream, but holy shit, I got about a third of the way through the list. Let's see. Calculator. Ogerpon is the newest Pokemon. Ogerpon is number 1017. And I got through 354. Yeah, I got about a third of the way through the Pokedex. That's not terrible. There's just a lot more. But For now, chat, I'm out of here. Good night, chat. Goodbye. Stream Monday. I don't know what the stream's going to be Monday, but we'll figure it out. Goodbye. See you later.